Behind me is not one, but two Japanese three-row luxury SUVs. The first is the 2019 Infiniti QX60, and the one right behind it is the 2019 Acura MDX A-Spec. And today, we're going to be doing a real-world, unfiltered buddy review, which means I need a buddy. Ta-da! This is my buddy. His name's Nathan. Today, in this video, Nathan, we're going to be doing a bunch of different tests. The first is a real-world 0 to 60 with 3 people in the car up here at a mile above sea level. We're going to test the infotainment systems, see how well they can find our favorite sandwich place. We're going to test the road quality, and then at the very end, we're going to give each car a rating of buy it, lease it, rent it, or forget it after we've driven both. And then we're going to tell you which of these two we would rather buy. But before we get into all that, we need to talk about what's under the hood. So you tell them what's under the hood while I go open the hood for you.
Do you know where the hood release is?
I found it earlier.
Did you really? Okay, good.
Yeah. It's right here. Wait, I've totally found this. Yep, there it is.
Alright.
Alrighty.
And pop in the hood.
There's the latch. Yep.
I know where the latch is. Just my hands are so big and freakishly enormous. Okay, 3.5 liter. V6, basically the same power plant that's inside the Nissan Pathfinder, which basically this vehicle is. This puts out 295 horsepower and 270 pound-feet of torque. It's hooked up to a continuously variable transmission, a CVT, that's powering just the front wheels. That's right, this is a front-wheel drive model. You can get the very top of the line front-wheel drive.
Very good.
So, let's
go. Let's talk about styling for a brief second, Nathan.
Hell yeah.
How do you think it looks?
It's okay.
It's got the Infiniti design language. This one is painted red. It's a nice color red, candy apple red.
Yeah, but the thing is, it looks the same as all the other QX. Hell, back when it was still known as a J-Series vehicle, it looks the same pretty much. And I think that might go against it. Unfortunately, there's nothing new.
There's nothing really that new. These are 3-row SUVs, and the third row is a very important row. So logically, we're going to stick one of the tallest guys in the office in that third row. That's me. I'm 6'2" for reference. But before we do that, we have to get into the trunk and actually see how we unfold this third row. The Infiniti makes it pretty easy on you, actually. There's these little buttons on the side here. Press and hold, and the seat raises up very nicely.
There is a caveat.
There is a, what's the caveat?
That you can't push the button to make it go down.
Yeah, that's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they power fold up, but then if you want to fold them back down, you have to use this little latch right here, and you just push it down. Oh, like that. Yeah, there you go. Kind of strange. Let me hop back there.
In you go, son.
Unfold this little guy.
Better you than me.
Yeah. Fortunately, this process is made relatively easy by Infiniti.
Isn't that graceful? He's like a ballerina.
So, I will say, I have plenty of legroom. That's not my problem here. I actually fit in the legroom department. The problem I have is headroom. I think this third row was designed for someone at least a foot shorter than I am. And I pretty much have to have my neck craned in some uncomfortable way if I want to sit in the third row. But I do technically fit, and I think I could stay back here for a decent amount of time if I had to. All right, let's get me out of here. Let's go take this thing for a drive.
Watch as the vehicle gives birth to its young.
No one's giving birth.
Oh, there he is. Oh, shiny and new.
That's me.
Shall we go for a ride, guys?
I think so.
Any negative about this vehicle from the outside or the engine, the transmission, is made up for in many ways with the interior.
This is a luxurious place.
It really, truly is.
Very, very nice in here. I think the first thing you notice right away, all the white. It's actually technically stone-colored leather with all this quilting and stitching and wood paneling and various surfaces.
The metal trim is exquisite. The raised white stitching is quite nice. There's several different colors in here. It makes it look more premium. And after living with this vehicle for a little while, I've had the opportunity to experience a very quiet ride, which you guys are going to see very soon. We're actually waiting for this to kick in. But I want to draw your attention to one thing that will be a criticism later on. A lot of this switchgear, in fact all of it, is directly out of the Nissan's part bin. And for a vehicle in this price category, That's a little much.
You know, right back there, Nathan, is a 2018 Nissan Titan Pro 4X. And it also has heated and cooled front seats. And you know what's funny? Is that those heated and cooled front seat buttons look exactly like these ones.
Indeed they do.
Pretty much identical, I think. So do keep that in mind. Let's get on the road and start.
Real gear leather.
That is nice, actually.
Yeah, a lot of
it does
cars don't have that
a
anymore.
real gear shifter, despite the fact that it's a CVT, a continuously variable transmission. What's your favorite part about this interior? You've spent more time in it than I have.
Yeah. I actually took my entire family to a place called Garden of the Gods.
Ooh,
a place in near Colorado Springs.
Indeed it is.
And I had to coddle them because they're in-laws and they were complaining. But once I got them in here, I put my kids in the third row, everybody else in the second row and up here with me, and they all complimented how quiet this was on the highway, and they all complimented the look of the interior. They all felt that it was a premium vehicle based on what they saw inside.
Well, it better feel like a premium vehicle because it certainly has a premium vehicle price tag, does it not, Nathan? We have our favorite little piece of paper, the Monroney, right here, which will tell you that this vehicle starts at a manufacturer's suggested retail price of $45,800. Pretty reasonable. That's not too bad.
That's actually one of the best entry prices in this class.
But we are sitting in the Luxe trim, which is one of the higher end trims, and the total price on our vehicle, well, you add about $20,000 to that base price. We have
too much.
Well, before I get into the options, we'll do our
We're going to do our 0 to 60,
run.
Yield sign.
Bold predictions really fast?
Predictions is going to be in the high 9s.
I think so. I think that's a good prediction. Mild below sea level, naturally aspirated V6 engine.
Okay, and here we go. Yeah, whew, not a lot. Come on.
There it is.
Pick up.
There
Pick
we
up.
go. It's trying. Oh.
This is a real world test.
Yep, 60. 10.55 seconds, 0 to 60. That's not amazing. It's not horrible.
No, it is not good.
It's not great.
No, it's not great.
It's not great.
And this is the same powertrain that powers the Nissan Pathfinder. Same CVT. Now the CVT is very smooth in this. I'll give it a lot of credit. It doesn't feel jerky at all. It doesn't have that rubber band whiplash feeling that some of them do.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's sort of a step transmission, so it feels like an automatic.
Right.
But it's not.
Not quite.
Crazy.
Really quickly, let's do our decibel meter test. Both be quiet for a minute. Going 60 miles an hour on the highway. So we're hovering just around 60, 61, 59 decibels in that range.
At 60 miles per hour.
At 60 miles
That's
per hour.
really good.
It's very quiet.
Yeah.
It's very, very luxurious in here. I'm very pleased with the road noise aspect of our test. Next up, Nathan, we have to see if we can find our favorite sandwich shop.
Oh yeah. Okay, so the speech button is here.
We like to use voice controls to see how well the voice recognition software works. We will play along with the prompts that they give us.
Yeah, as long as they give us prompts.
You can interrupt voice prompts and speak a command immediately by pushing the talk switch.
Okay.
You can also use the up-down.
Navigation.
Please say again.
Oh.
Navigation.
Navigation.
Oh.
Please say or select a navigation command from the displayed list.
Points of interest.
Points of interest search in Colorado. Please say the POI name. To search for a POI within a specified city, say within a city or say change state.
Snarfs.
Oh. Processing.
Showing items.
Holy macaroni, that is not what I expected.
Wow.
It freaking did it.
It did it. It's one.
I love you, baby. Well, I didn't say...
Calculate
No,
Shut
okay,
up.
we'll just
Just
cancel.
stop. There, done.
We'll call that a pass. It found snarfs.
It passed. That's impressive. Normally, the best thing you can do is use your phone, right? I mean,
Right.
there's so much information they can...
Ideally, you would use your phone in conjunction with a software like
Yes.
Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. But unfortunately, this Infiniti doesn't have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, so you wouldn't be able to do it directly through your phone. you'd probably just look it up on your phone and then place your phone
Exactly.
somewhere.
But very few vehicles, even with prompts, can make it that quickly, if at all.
That was pretty good.
Especially with a place called Snarfs.
Snarfs is a weird word. That's
We really
specifically
need to talk to them about sponsoring us, by the way.
That's why
I
we
think-
test that word, because it's like a weird word that's kind of hard to figure out. And I do promise, guys, I know you're probably thinking, wait a minute, we were going to talk about options. We'll talk about options in just a minute.
But we got to do something that's coming right up.
Coming up is our Hula Girl test, as we like to call it, and this is a rating of ride quality. So we've placed our little Hula Girl here on the dashboard, and we're gonna watch her dance to see how good the ride quality is on this 2019 QX60. The more she's dancing, the worse the ride quality is. So we do it on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a great ride, 10 being a horrible ride because she's dancing too much. And this is the bumpy part of our test, Nathan. How much is she dancing?
So far,
Not a lot.
she's at a 3.
She's really not.
The suspension setup on this is beautiful for this type of stuff.
Super, super smooth.
It's not great for handling, but it is pretty darn good for what we're currently doing. And it looks like we're going to be stopping.
We're going to be stopping. But that's okay. We got through the ride test part.
Yeah,
I think
so
about a 3 is correct.
Yeah, I think 3. Very, very well done.
I think 3 is a good test.
Let's talk about options.
Let's talk about options, because there are a lot of options to talk about. So, I mentioned that we had about $20,000 worth of options on this QX60. You want to know what that includes?
Yes, please.
That gives us the limited package, which is $5,000. It's a lot of luxury features like the leather seats, the wood interior trim. Basically, this interior package is $5 grand. The sensory package, which is the premium audio package, $3,500. Different tires, a lot of noise and vibration harshness stuff going on there. The power activated liftgate, the moonroofs. That's all in the sensory package. The proactive package is $3,400. Proactive. That's front pre-crash, seat belts, intelligent cruise control, backup collision intervention, lane departure warning. So your driver enhancement and safety suite stuff. The theater package, which is 2 monitors in the back of our headrests, that is $2,150. The essential package, $2,900, which is leather seating, navigation, XM radio. Wow, that's a lot of money for XM radio.
It is.
Illuminated kick plates. Then we have $500 worth of premium paint. Infiniti Wi-Fi on the interior, another $500. Running boards, $775, and welcome lighting for $445.
Well, Nissan's done a great job, and an Infiniti, for learning from the Germans how to nickel and dime you.
Oh my God.
Come on.
That is $20,000 in options, seriously.
You know what, though? Here's my problem, and this is a big issue. A lot of those should be standard on a luxury vehicle, A.
Yep.
And B, you can get most of those options on the Nissan Pathfinder, which is, they start in the 30s.
Yeah, it's considerably less expensive.
Fully loaded, a Nissan Pathfinder won't hit 50.
No.
So, essentially, I can get a Nissan Pathfinder with all of these goodies pretty much for about 20 grand less than this vehicle.
That's absurd. But there is one good thing about this piece of paper in my hands. It tells us the EPA rated fuel economy, and I have to say that's actually fairly impressive for something with a 3.5 liter V6 under the hood. The EPA says this will get 20 miles to the gallon in the city, 27 on the highway, for a combined rating of 22, and of course a lot of that is in thanks to the CVT, the continuously variable transmission. But that's pretty good gas mileage for a large 3-row SUV like this.
Fully loaded, I was averaging about 19 miles per gallon going up and down at high elevation on I-25.
That's pretty good.
With everybody in it, yeah.
How many, so total 8 people?
I had 7 in
seven
here.
people?
Yep.
That's a fairly respectable MPG number, I gotta
For
say.
as a family mover, it really does have a lot of good, and the interior, once again, is just beautiful. I cannot justify that price.
That price is really hard to justify, and we'll get there with the rating. Before we get out, because we're almost back at our office, I do want to talk a little bit more about this infotainment system, because that's one big downside of this interior, for me at least. Infotainment is something that we use on a regular basis. You interact with it every day, and I think it's something that's really important to get it right for a manufacturer. This one works, it's totally functional, but it feels a bit dated, a bit clunky. The screen isn't super high resolution, especially compared to a system like, I think the benchmark right now is FCA's Uconnect system. Compared to something like that, it's nowhere close.
I completely agree with you, and there's also lots of things that are missing. Once again, this vehicle is kind of on an older platform now, and it has older tech. So there's no HUD. The screen is incredibly small compared to some of the competitors that have, what, up to 10 inches, 12 inches in some cases?
In some cases, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to substantiate that price once again. Yes, this is all beautiful the way it's laid out. I love the wood, but these are older components, and I can tell they're older components, and so can many consumers.
I agree. All right, let's park this Infiniti. We'll hop in the Acura and go for our second portion of the drive.
That sounds good. I'm just going to put it right here.
Oh, that works.
Yeah.
Pull up right behind it.
Another thing that's, by the way, very nice on this vehicle, I personally like, is when you have it in this screen, bird's eye view is still one of the best bird's eye view systems out there.
Nissan and Infiniti really pioneered that technology.
Yes, they did.
They were one of the first manufacturers to put that into most of their cars, and it's really cool. The one thing, though, it is not the most high-resolution screen in the world.
You are absolutely right on that, sir. Let's look at the Acura.
Moving on to the 2019 Acura MDX A-Spec. Let's go under the hood again. Can you open the hood? I'll tell them what's underneath there. There it is. It's a 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V6, just like the Infiniti has. This one makes 290 horsepower, so 5 horsepower less than the Infiniti, and 267 pound-feet of torque, 3 less pound-feet of torque, but there's a couple key differences from there. First off, this sends power to all 4 wheels. It's all-wheel drive, and it does that not through a CVT, but through a 9-speed automatic transmission, which I think, Nathan, will provide us with a little more driving pleasure. But that's what you need to know about what's under the hood of this Acura. From a looks perspective, I think the Acura MDX looks really nice. Acura has changed the front end relatively recently on this vehicle, and I really like what they've done with the front end design. I think the styling is sharp, it looks aggressive, it looks high quality. It's a good look. Let's head to the back because I need to get in the third row once again. And the process of opening that third row is slightly different than the Infiniti. There's no buttons that do all the power folding stuff for you. Instead, there's just the little handles. Flop them, fold them down like that. What I like about this is look how fast this is. It's such a quick process to fold up these seats. Really easy for getting in and out of the third row, especially if you have long arms like I do. That's where the easy stuff ends though, because this back seat is a little bit tighter.
Push that button though. Check it out. I like this.
One touch of a button. This is the not graceful.
Vaya con Dios, amigo.
Yeah.
No más espera aquí.
Okay.
Hell, all I need is a meal and it'd be like dinner in a movie.
Oh my god. Not the most graceful process, and then, well.
You comfortable back there, Tiger?
No. Okay, I'm technically in. There's 0 leg room, not much headroom. It's unpleasant for someone who's 6'2". Oh God.
Yeah, but if you were a little kid.
If you were a little kid, you'd have a blast back here. But I am not a little kid. I'm a big boy.
He's a big boy.
I'm a big boy. And I have a big boy hard time getting out.
Oh, you are graceful. Folks, that's like ballet.
If ballet was really hard to watch, then yeah. Okay, let's hop in and go for a drive in the A-Spec. A-Spec, Nathan, should mean one thing to most people. Performance, right?
Yeah.
Kind of, sort of.
Kind of, sort of. When the A-Spec package initially came out, let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
We had the opportunity to have Acuras with a beefed up suspension. And then it had all the little chintzy cool stuff to make it look fast.
Indeed.
Now it has the cool little stuff that makes it look fast without the suspension package. So
it's not quite the same A-Spec that we were maybe used to at one point.
That was way back in the earlier 2000s.
When you get inside this thing, first, like right away, you notice a whole bunch of stuff, right? The red seats with Alcantara, this big chunky steering wheel, which I really love.
Yeah.
One thing I like a lot is this red engine start-stop button.
That's actually standard on MDXs.
That is super cool.
Yep.
The one thing that's not super cool is this push-button transmission. This is something that Honda and now Acura have been doing for a little bit.
I really don't. You know, it takes away from what I love about this vehicle, frankly.
It's not my favorite. It's not very. It's just weird to get used to. I think that's my problem with it. It works fine. You know, it's not that it doesn't work. It's just not familiar, maybe.
Yeah, my problem is I have to take my eyes off the road and look at it, and sometimes my fingers miss the buttons, and other times, you know, you have a coffee cup over here or something like that. It's one thing that just isn't really necessary in my book. It's making
strange.
something complicated that doesn't need to be complicated.
The idea is to clear up space in the center.
But it doesn't really do that.
It doesn't really clear up
because this
that
same amount of room is basically where you could put, you know, a gear lever. All right, I'm going to quiet down. Let's do 0 to 60, which I predict right off the bat is going to be quicker. This is a much more nimble vehicle.
Despite having less horsepower, we'll let our solo deal reset really fast. Wait for an opening and floor it. Whoop.
Oh yeah, I can tell you right now.
Much more punch.
Yeah, it's going to be in the somewhere in the 9s.
And 60. Oh yeah, you were totally right, dude. It was, what is that? 9.26 seconds, 0 to 60. So certainly over a second faster than the Infiniti
Which
QX60.
sounds about right. This has a
right.
proper transmission. This vehicle is a little bit more geared for sport.
Yeah.
The Infiniti was geared a little bit more towards luxury, and that's the big difference right now.
Well, let's test that difference by doing our decibel meter test, because I suspect this will be a little bit louder than that Infiniti. Well, that was my suspicion, but it's not exactly what the results are saying, because this says somewhere in the 51 or 59, 60, 61 range.
So you'd say it's roughly even to the Infiniti?
Roughly even.
Yeah, it may be here. However, I can tell you from my ear next to the windshield,
There's more road noise.
there is more road noise, no doubt. So perhaps that's something in the future we'll start doing, is putting the thing closer to the window. But nonetheless, it is a relatively quiet vehicle. It's relatively comfortable, but can it find snarfs?
That's a great question, and we can find the answer. I'll hit the voice command button and find out.
The voice prompt can be interrupted at any time by pressing the talk button again and saying a command.
Navigation.
After the beep, say a command.
Place name.
After the beep, say a command.
Restaurant.
After the beep, say a command.
Snarfs.
Snarf.
Wow, 2 for 2.
And she said the name.
She said it.
Wow.
Holy moly.
Maybe it's something about Roman that makes things... Oh, no, I guess not.
It found 6 of them.
That's all of them.
Cancel.
Yeah, hit the hang up button or something like that.
Pardon?
Maybe hit the other button.
Cancel. Here, we'll hit back. Back doesn't do anything. Cancel.
Cancel. Cancel.
After the beep,
Cancel.
say a command.
Oh,
Cancel.
that's not doing as much as I was hoping it would.
Nope.
We'll give it a pass. Pass on the Snarfs test.
Now we're about to do the ride test again, which once again is our hula girl.
Right.
And on a scale from 1 to 10, we basically rate whether or not it's a comfortable ride or not. Now, 10 being horrible, like a Ferrari or something like that, I suppose,
Right.
on these bumps, and 1 being a very plush vehicle. So we got a 3 with the Infiniti, and that is excellent.
Really good.
Yeah. So we'll
Infiniti
see
had
if she
a great
gets
ride.
it.
I suspect the A-Spec will be a little more harsh, a little more bumpy.
The MDX has a much tighter suspension. I can tell you that right off the bat.
Definitely.
And
All right,
oh yeah,
we're here in
it's
the
already
test.
starting
Oh
to-
yeah, she's dancing.
oh,
Those
yeah.
hips are moving.
She's gyrating.
She's gyrating. Not horrible. I mean, sitting in here doesn't feel that bad, right?
Yeah, a few of these bumps I've been feeling she's moving a lot more. So I'm going to give her a 5.
I think I'm going to go 6. I'm going to one
Yeah,
up a
the
little
last
bit.
few bumps. Yeah, okay,
The
I
last
agree
few
with
bumps,
you.
Yeah, she's definitely moving, but not at a rate that I am uncomfortable with. But it's definitely, compared to the Infiniti, a bit more bumpy.
I agree with you. Now, there is something to be said about some stuff with the interior. First of all, this is nowhere near as nice as the Infinitis in terms of layout, in terms of
The materials,
the different colors.
right?
What do you think of these dual screens? Because you can put stuff up here that's, you know, in terms of music, and you
Yeah.
can kind of play around with what's on each screen, but the resolution's different on these screens.
I have mixed feelings about this setup. I don't like the 2-screen setup. I kind of wish it were just 1 screen.
Uh-huh.
But what I do like is that it doesn't look like they just stuck an iPad on the dashboard.
Yes, I'm happy that both vehicles, frankly, don't have that iPad look.
Right. They actually did take time to design the screen into the dashboard. It's well integrated. And what's cool about this infotainment system, especially compared to the Infinitis, is that it does have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay.
The Infiniti doesn't.
The Infiniti does not have that.
Oh, that's right.
So I think overall I'm much happier with this infotainment system, even though it's weird to me how this screen is really high resolution and this one is really low resolution, and it only really serves the purpose of navigation and a couple settings.
Yeah, and it really does look like it's early 2000s technology.
Yeah.
And that, you know, a vehicle like this, look, this thing's over 50 grand.
It's about 55 actually.
Yeah, so that's a lot of money to pay for a low resolution screen. But the overall layout is still pretty good.
Yeah.
The use of spongy materials is decent. Fit and finish is decent.
Yeah, the build quality is for sure there.
Oh, yeah. Well, Honda Acura, I mean,
exactly,
you know, they're pretty good at that. It doesn't hold a candle to the Infiniti's interior in terms of overall comfort.
And luxury feel, but I think this feels a little more modern.
It feels a little more sporty to me.
Yeah, more sporty.
You know, the gauges, just the little things.
The red touches in the gauges. The push-button transmission
That's
I can do without.
But you do have flapple patties.
I do have the paddles, which are very fun, and the steering wheel says A-Spec right there.
Hell yeah, it does. It says it on the door sills too, all four.
Let's talk a little bit about pricing, because that $55,000 price tag sounds expensive, but really, this is almost stock for the A-Spec. The A-Spec package itself costs about $10,000 over the base price of an MDX.
Right. The base MDX starts at $44,300, and then what you have to do is you have to get the tech package, which is $5,000, in order to get the A-Spec package, which is $3,500. So, over the base price, you have to spend $8,500 to get to this level where it is now.
Right.
Asking price for this vehicle, $56,195.
But you get a lot of standard features in that price compared to the QX60, right?
You know what else you get?
What's that?
Almost the same gas mileage as the QX60.
Almost the same.
Almost the same. So this is rated at 19 city, 25 highway, and a combined 21. And if memory serves, the Infiniti was combined 22.
So 1 mpg difference in the combined rating. The Infiniti does a little bit better on the highway. 2 mpg better on the highway.
Yeah.
I think that's, again, a pretty good gas mileage figure, considering, once again, you have all-wheel drive in this one, so it's on
Extra
the heavier
drag,
side.
yep.
But also, you have seating for many, many people, 3 rows of seating. In that kind of MPG, that's a win in my book.
Yeah, I think both vehicles actually are quite good.
And as we pull back into the office here, I think it's important to distinguish one thing between these two. From a driver's perspective, the Acura to me is miles ahead.
Oh, hell yeah.
It really accomplishes the task of feeling a lot sportier, despite not necessarily being that much more sporty overall.
You can actually have a little tiny bit of fun driving this.
Yeah, it makes a good noise, it has the paddles.
It handles pretty good.
Almost 300 horsepower, which I think makes it a pretty fun vehicle to drive. All right, we'll park really fast, and then we'll rate each one, and then we'll tell you which one we would buy.
So once again, low resolution on a screen that shouldn't be.
Exactly. All right, first let's rate the Infiniti. Buy it, lease it, rent it, or forget it. What are you rating it?
I'm right in between rent it and lease it. Really.
Okay.
Initially, I would have given it a rent it, but living with it for a little while longer, considering how cushy it is on the road and considering how well put together the interior is, I'm going to say lease it, but very close to rent it.
Well, I can help out then, because I'm going to still say rent it. I think the driving experience is very bland to me. The luxury feel is excellent, though. I mean, it really is a plush place to be.
Right.
But I want a little bit more out of a car than just luxury feel. And the CVT makes a lot of droning sounds. It doesn't go very fast. And in the tech department, it's really lacking a lot for me, too. So I'm going to say rent it on the Infiniti. On the Acura, though, buy it, lease it, rent it, or forget it.
I give it a very high lease it. It would get a buy it if it didn't have the push-button transmission. Otherwise, I think it's quite good. I love the way it drives.
Well, then I'm going to go even further than you one more time, because I will say buy it on the MDX A-Spec. I think it blends the sporty aesthetic with a good drive feel, a lot of tech, good styling. I really like this car, and I think there's a good reason it's consistently one of the best-selling vehicles in its class month over month. So, I think the answer might already be kind of obvious, but which one would you buy if you were going to take one home?
The Acura.
I would also take the Acura. I think in this comparison, which is a direct comparison. These two vehicles compete in the same class. Despite having a little bit less room in the third row, I just like the Acura better overall. We've already explained our reasoning on that.
Absolutely. So guys, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, please be sure to come back to TFLcar.com for all the latest news, views, and real-world, unfiltered buddy reviews just like this one. Drop a comment down below. Tell us which one of these two you would prefer to have in your driveway, and we'll see you guys next time.
Hasta luego.